Hi, welcome back to the Scent Advocate. Tonight we're going to be talking about fragrances that make me think of cocktails. As a rule, I am not a big drinker. I will have wine and champagne or bubbly, but generally speaking, I don't drink hard liquor. Once in a while, I will enjoy a cocktail though, and it's almost always in the warmer months. I cannot think of the last time I had a cocktail in cooler months. I just don't. I almost never have them at all, but when I do, it's in the warm months. And they are always an event. It's usually celebratory, but whatever it is, I remember the cocktail because they are such an infrequent part of my life. Tonight's beverage of choice, speaking of drinks, is water, right? Seems a little counterintuitive since I'm talking about cocktails, but there you go. The first few fragrances I'm going to speak about are from the house of Ikiryo. Now, I've already done a video where I spoke entirely about fragrances from this house. I am a huge fan. The nose behind the fragrances there is Vincent of Dreamhouse, and he is an artist, a Renaissance man, a genius, and these fragrances, I'm just in love. They are absolutely spectacular. The quality, the heart, the soul, the dedication to a craft comes out in these fragrances in a way that you just don't experience in mainstream fragrance lines or from mainstream houses. It's a completely different world. And that isn't to in any way diminish the value or quality of mainstream fragrance houses, the more commercially popular brands. They're wonderful. I have a few myself, but there's just a difference. It's a different world, and I find myself unable to compare the two. I've definitely leaned Indian niche for many years now, and it is the quality of houses like Ikiryo that really, it's to me, it's unmatched. To me, it's not just a fragrance. It's an experience. It's an event. It's so much more. The piece of the perfumer's life, the experience, whatever makes him or her think about the notes that go into a fragrance, that's the thrill of it for me. And with Ikiryo, you absolutely are intrigued. And the fragrances are positively addicting. So let me just jump right in and tell you about the first one. So the first fragrance is Thoughts of Whom I Wish to Pass the Night With, from Ikiryo, the nose, Vincent of Dreamhouse. This is the bottle. You can see the beautiful artwork all around. And one of my favorite features, it's sealed with wax. You actually have to break the wax to get into the bottle. And I just think that's wonderful. Each of the full bottles, as far as I'm aware, is 70 ml. This one retails for $150, and it is a 2025 release. This bottle was gifted to me by Vincent. Thank you again, Vincent. I absolutely love it. It was gifted to me with a purchase my most recent purchase that I made. And this was my scent of the day today. This fragrance has notes of violet, ginger, musk, pear, and water lily. And the thing about this fragrance is it's got a juicy quality to it. There's a watery, wet, almost melancholy feel. And the drink it makes me think of is called The Last Word. Side note, years ago when I was in college, many years ago, I went to bartending school because I had this idea that I was going to make a bunch of money while in school. Right? The thoughts we have when we're young. But I was living in New York City at the time. And of course, there are tons of bars. And I thought, well, this will be great, easy money. And of course, it's not easy. I don't know what I was thinking. I went to bartending school, though, and I learned all of these great drinks, most of which I'm sure are not a thing anymore. They've probably since come up with much more interesting cocktails. But this makes me think of one I remember called The Last Word. It's a classic cocktail with gin and chartreuse, a fruit syrup, like a cherry syrup, and lime. And it's refreshing, but it's a little bit heavy. I remember thinking it was a little heavy, and the heaviness, the weight of that, and the water note in this fragrance, it makes me think of going to a bar, and I'm not exactly where I want to be in life, but there's promise of me getting there. And I want a drink, but I don't want the typical drink. I don't want a beer. I don't want, some trendy drink. I want something classic, stable, not too much. I don't want to get drunk. I want to enjoy the flavors. I want to feel my emotions without being dulled by too much of a sugary, sickly sweet drink. This was my scent of the day today, and all I could think about was that song, Neon Moon, by Brooks and Dunn. My favorite version is the one more recently released with Kacey Musgraves, and it just gives an image of this bar, kind of a rundown bar, and you're feeling melancholy, but there's promise. There's promise that what you want will walk through the door. So you don't want to get too sauced, right? Or else you'll miss it. And at the same time, you want something refreshing and uplifting, and this is definitely it. Gorgeous stuff. It is Ikiryo's Thoughts of Whom I Wish to Pass the Night With. Next, we've got Blood Cherry Cordial. This fragrance I have a sample of. This is also from Ikiryo. A 2017 release. A 70 ml bottle will go for $160. The notes in this are cherry, chocolate, cognac, honey, caramel, musk, and amber. This is so good. This is a chocolate cherry cordial, but the kind that has the booze in it. You know how sometimes you can get them and they've got like a syrup or something and it's just too sweet. Or there's like syrup and then this white stuff. I don't know. Not this one. This is ganache style chocolate over a drunken cherry. This cherry is just sitting in that cognac, and it's just the cognac in there with the cherry floating inside the chocolate. That's what this is. Stunning, classic, beautiful. And I guess this doesn't really count as a cocktail, but I think with the heavier hitting cherry cordials, if you have enough of them, you might get a little buzz. I don't know for sure. I've never gone that far with cherry cordials. That sounded weird. Gorgeous stuff, very rich, but the drunk cherry makes it uplifting and energizing. Beautiful. It is blood cherry cordial. Moving on, Annwyn. This is also a sample. Annwyn by Ikiryo is it's a very complex, very earthy experience. Annwyn is a Celtic word that refers to another world, right? Is it an underworld? Is it Atlantis? You know, I think it depends on which legends you read, which mythology you read. Who lives there? You know, is it demons? Is it fairies? Is it us? You know, is it another form of our own existence? Our own living consciousness, like a dream? The notes in this are white chocolate, ambergris, passion fruit, passion flower, and musk. So why does this make me think of a cocktail? It makes me think of a chocolate martini specifically. Why? I think because this fragrance, it has a light, maybe like a light rum hint to it. And I think it's probably a combination of the ambergris and the chocolate together. I think give it a very light rum boozy quality. And then there's the earthiness from the musk. And it just creates something really unusual and extraordinary. I was gifted this sample as well, by the way, and I absolutely adore it. I think why this makes me think of a rum-based cocktail that's refreshing, maybe a little bit like maybe a chocolate martini. Could you make a chocolate martini with rum? See how much I know about cocktails anymore? Terrible. The reason this makes me think in that direction is because if I were to have had a chocolate rum martini, and it hit me, I would, like I always do when I have a little too much, wax philosophical, wax poetic. I will start thinking about things like the other world, parallel existences. I also quote Shakespeare and Robert Frost. Who doesn't, right? Is it just me? The bottom line is this fragrance takes that complex philosophical experience after which it is named, and it marries the ability to understand it better to a chocolatey rum drink with an earthy quality that is absolutely stunning. It's so good and so unique. It's it's unbelievable. Have you tried any of these? Have you? Let me know in the comments. Annwyn by Ikiryo. Moving on. We've got On a Cloud by J-Scent. This fragrance is a 50 ml eau de parfum. It goes for about $110, and it's a 2024 release. The notes in this are peppermint, milk, sugar, and vanilla. But it's not that simple. There's much more going on here. I get some, I'm getting maybe a little bit of musk in here, I think. There's definitely a depth going on. So it makes me think of kind of like a mint julep as cocktails go. But a mint julep with cream. Can you do that? Can you believe I actually went to bartending school? I'm asking you guys all these questions. Shouldn't I know the answer? No. I'm telling you, this was like 30 years ago when I did this. And I don't remember a darn thing. It's true. Just like I do not know if you can make a chocolate martini with rum, and I don't know if you can put cream in a mint julep. I think there's ice involved, so it may not work. I mean, I've never been much of a milk fan. Side note, milk and ice, just no. But for the sake of imagery, that's what would be going on here. It's cold, it's satisfying, it's refreshing. It's got that like, guilt-free thing going on because, hey, there's mint in it, and mint is an herb, and herbs are good for you, right? Mint's supposed to be good for you. So maybe you feel a little less guilty drinking your mint julep. It's a classic, comforting, formal, respectable drink. Makes me think of pastels and pastimes, meant to be enjoyed in a ceremonious way with a ceremonious flair. That's what this does for me. The mint definitely gives it some levity and makes it a lot of fun, and it's got that zippy quality to it. J-Scent's On a Cloud. Next, we've got the last fragrance for this evening. It is Peau de Peche by Kiko Mecheri. This is an EDP. It goes for about $165 for 100 ml, which this is. And this is a 2000 release. The notes in this are white peach, orris powder, sandalwood, amber, and wood. This makes me think of a peach Bellini. What's a peach Bellini? I know that one. Only because there are only 2 ingredients, and I looked it up before I started the video. It's peach puree and Prosecco. Presumably, you can make it with real champagne, which I think would be much better. But let me know in the comments if it would be. Are you a peach Bellini fan? So it's cool, it's fruity, it's refreshing, but not too sweet. So I don't like things that are too sweet. And I feel like peach puree probably wouldn't be too sweet, but the sweetness that it might have would be tempered by the bubbly. And in the fragrance, the sandalwood tempers the white peach, the sweetness of the white peach. I get a hint of aldehydes in this fragrance, which is fun because it's a nod, right? Kind of that sparkly, bubbly way that aldehydes are described. It's a nod in the direction of the bubbly, the champagne or Prosecco. And so the The skin part, you know, I'm really not getting that in here. This smells very peach Bellini to me. But the name of the fragrance is, well, maybe it doesn't mean like human skin. Maybe it means skin of the peach. Let me know in the comments. I don't speak French, as you well know. For those of you who watch me regularly, it's pretty sad. Gorgeous stuff. I love it. It's lots of fun. It's Kiko Mecheri's Peau de Peche. Am I pronouncing that right? Peau de Peach? Peach? Peche? I think. I don't know. My little girl speaks some French. So does my husband. I'll have to ask them. I should ask them before I make a video. All right. So what do you think of tonight's selections? What do you think of these fragrances that are reminiscent of summer cocktails? Let me know in the comments. If you are not yet a subscriber, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.